So the big question is this: how do small businesses like yours, who feel like you're doing all the right things and going to all the right events, reach the federal buyer in a way that helps you win more contracts? That is the question, and this is the place to get your answers. My name is Neil McDonnell. Welcome to the GovCon Chamber of Commerce. Okay, let's get started. In this learning series, I'll be helping you understand the Navy and providing guidance on how you can do your homework. This series is designed for those small businesses already making revenue, not those of you just starting off. While I think it'll be helpful for anyone to watch the series, if you aren't making profitable revenue, then you'd be better off watching videos designed to help you get into the government sector and start making a living revenue. Throughout this series, I'll be using a company that provides cloud services as my example, seeking to show you how I would help them learn about the Navy and how they can pursue several $1 million more in new revenue over the next 12 months. My guidance works the same whether your firm's delivering janitorial services, sells products, or you're in the construction field. In Navy 102 Fleet Cyber Command, I showed you how to research an agency rapidly to see if they're a fit for your services. One of the sources I used to validate that this command was a fit for a cloud company is Fleet Cyber Command's strategic plan for FY2020 through 2025. This document's a goldmine of information for industry and a must-read for anyone wanting to sell to the Navy's Fleet Cyber Command. In today's session, Navy 103 Fleet Cyber Command Strategic Plan Analysis, I'll show you how I analyze a document like this to pull out helpful information. This information can help you while you're initially researching an agency, pursuing capture on a particular opportunity, or writing an RFP or an RFI response. I'll move fast as I share my tips, but you should plan for at least 2 to 3 hours to read any strategic plan and create your own action item list. First, though, this content's brought to you by the GovCon Chamber of Commerce, the only organization dedicated to the success of all small businesses in the federal space, with members from Guam to the U.S. Virgin Islands and every single state in between. In fact, I want to do a quick shout out to Julie, who is a faithful watcher of our videos down in Georgia. Really appreciate you giving us feedback on our videos and suggesting new ones. Each year, roughly $125 billion is awarded to small businesses as prime contractors. Our vision is to double that number by helping small businesses truly understand the process for success. Small businesses are the backbone of America. By helping you succeed further in government contracting, we'll be strengthening American communities together. My name is Neil McDonnell, and I've been where you are now. I've been a small business owner for 20 years, building 2 successful firms selling to the federal government. I've won subcontracts with small and large prime contractors. I've won prime contracts with defense and civilian agencies. I've done things right, and I've gotten things wrong. The one thing missing, though, for me then and you now is an easy-to-follow process that'll lead to predictable success. That's my commitment to you. I'll provide the process. If you accept responsibility and don't blame others, you'll find you have the control to shape your future. Okay, we have 24 pages in the Fleet Cyber Command Strategic Plan for 2020 through 2025. I definitely read every single page, and so should you. The commander's foreword just starts dropping helpful situational awareness facts beginning with 14,000 employees and 55 commands. That tells me right there that I need to learn what the commands are and decide which to learn more about. The next sentence tells me what they do in a nutshell. As it relates to the cloud service example company I'm using, it's helpful to see that this command's responsible for the Navy's information network operations. The next paragraph further down on this page has something I think would be great to include in our responses as a variation. Through where they say here, through the everywhere ground of cyberspace. I've never heard that before. The everywhere ground of cyberspace. And we don't have the luxury of fight tonight. We have to fight right now. You can restate messages back and you give the impression that you were listening and reading these documents when you read this middle paragraph here. Two paragraphs later, we see if the Navy's to fight and win, Navy networks must be able to survive those hits and fight hurt. This is brilliant, and it reminds us cloud folks that it's not just about computers and patching, but that the Navy can't just go home until the IT folks fix things. They will fight hurt, and however we can, we must fight as well. The next paragraph drops General MacArthur's wisdom about failure in warfare can be summed up in two words: too late. A proposal manager might create a play on that quote as it relates to cloud failures to tie our response to their strategy. I'm going to go ahead and jump ahead in this document, but there's more just from the commander's message that could be referenced directly in our response to show an understanding of his intent. Obviously, I think every word in this document is worth reading, but in the executive summary, we can quickly learn about Fleet Cyber Command's 5 strategic goals. These are vital to read and see which areas you can help with. For my cloud example company, goal 1 hits the mark. Operate the network as a war-fighting platform. Anyone can run a network, but reading this, I realized we would need to respond with an answer to how we could help the Navy network survive in a degraded state. What would that even look like? Seeing this goal, I would want to talk potential solutions early on with my team to see how we might position ourselves and our response. Another small but great paragraph in the summary over to the right tells me to look for other implementation and campaign plans. Because it's mentioned here, I would start asking my customer points of contact for that information. The next section expands on the intellectual foundation upon which the strategic plan is built. The second paragraph here really dives into the urgency that the Navy faces when they say our warfighting systems have become completely dependent on reliable information. For my cloud company example, that's good news since data and information basically live in the cloud. On the next page, you see one of my favorite bits of information, the strategic alignment to other DoD strategies and guidance. Using this, you can make sure that you at least have a situational awareness of documents that guide this command. Your proposal team will be able to reference these documents in some way that makes it clear that your company sees the bigger picture. So you see here, there's about 10 or 11 documents. I would make sure you download them all. And even if you can't like read them all, you can at least browse through them so you get the general idea as you go forward in this. You certainly want to read US Cyber Command's vision because that ties directly to this command that we're investigating. Further in here, they talk about assumptions and responsibilities. You can see I highlighted two that just jump right off the page for me. The Navy's information infrastructure must maintain essential network and data services. That is the cloud. And the other one, our information content serves as the basis from which nearly all decisions will be made. Well, that's on the cloud as well. And so for me, that's good news. Remember, I'm moving fast through here now, but I do this all the time. I'm looking for anything that'll help me better understand Fleet Cyber Command's challenges and goals. That's what you see me highlighting and what I'll dig into further offline in support of my example cloud company. Let me go ahead and scroll farther down. The strategic environment section is important to read because it helps you really understand the Fleet Cyber Command's mission and what keeps them awake at night. We might be thinking clouds, servers, data, et cetera. In my example, they're thinking about the great power competition. You need to read these types of sections for your primary agency. I'll move on though, so you're not having to read it for my sample agency here. One thing before I do though, look at this competition conflict continuum graphic here at the bottom. When working with this customer, you can't really go wrong if you include some sort of similar layout to explain key concepts and roadmaps in your responses. This is just a good looking graphic and clearly they like it. And so sometimes I just creatively borrow the look and feel right back to the same customer so they understand. It's like, oh, you're tying that back to what we did in this particular graphic. Continuing along in the strategic plan, we see their organizational environment. The most important observation here is that Fleet Cyber Command is an Echelon 2 command, meaning that their mission is so important they report directly to the Chief of Naval Operations. It's important to understand that the level of urgency in what you do goes up the more vital the mission of your customer. On the next page, Fleet Cyber Command lays out their view of how emerging concepts and technologies will shape the future of information warfare. I can quickly see that I want to follow up in the artificial intelligence and machine learning areas so that I can help this customer understand how that technology can support and be supported by the cloud technologies. And going down one more page, I get to a crown jewel of confirmation that this customer wants what my example cloud services company sells and that they need it bad, as I can see from we must integrate the efficiencies of cloud computing into our processes to accelerate the commander's decision cycle and realize first movers advantage. Seeing this tells me I need to find out who in the command has responsibility for cloud computing and then develop that relationship. It's also something I would want to share with the solution architects and proposal writers in my company to get them thinking about how can we explain our approach to this need during the capture phase, not even just proposal phase. There's just so much in here in this strategy document, but you can see what I'm doing as I read through the strategy plan or strategic plan. I'll jump past the mission and vision pages, but I do want to point out my thoughts on how to read this section. Learn how they see themselves. If you expect to develop this command into a $10 to $50 million a year customer, then read the books they put in here. Of course, your job doesn't require you to understand naval tactics, but it does require you to understand the people who do understand naval tactics. Stop watching TV and learn as much as you can about your customer. The rest of these pages go down and really begin to expand on each of the strategic goals. Again, because Fleet Cyber Command is a fit for my example cloud services company, I would read every single word of this strategic plan and create an action items list based off of what I'm reading. It might seem like a lot of work, but really it couldn't be more than 8 to 24 business hours. I know I said earlier that, 2 to 3 hours. That 2 to 3 hours is that initial read. But if you really want to create a plan off of this document, you put a good 8 to 24 hours in it. That's planning. That's just quadrant 2, as Stephen Covey says. That's nothing to develop a customer knowledge that can lead to your success and enable you to serve your primary agency as best as you can. Each strategic goal has a set of or a group of strategic initiatives. As you can see here, I'm going to pop down to 1.6 there. One really is helpful to me. And right here, you can see it. 1.6 is talking about engaging with the Navy acquisition and PPBE process. In here, they talk about other commands and offices, which might mean that they get some services from there. I don't know just from looking at this, but it does tell me, going back to that task list, that I definitely have some further digging to do in here. And there definitely could be some relationship interaction between these different groups. I'm going to skip all the way through these goals pretty fast on you. That's goal 5. I want to get to the conclusion page here. So in closing, right, this one section is beautiful. And I think I'll stay there with the picture of the water and the ships, which is really impressive. But down here, the conclusion of Fleet Cyber Command strategic plan is rich with unintended advice for how to respond. For example, right here, you can see highlighted on page 20, they tell us that adapting old processes to be faster will not work. We must invent new models suited to constant change, adaptation, and innovation. I'd work with my own internal teams to figure out how to communicate that our example cloud services company operates with speed and agility while inventing new models suited for the future. To paraphrase the Navy here, are you in this to win contracts or merely respond to RFPs? If you want to win, begin by understanding that Fleet Cyber Command developed the strategic plan to prevail. The nation expects no less. Expect no less of yourself and read your primary agency's strategic plans today. If you found this content valuable, others will too. Please give it a thumbs up so they can find it. If you'd like to connect with me personally, go ahead and do so on LinkedIn. We often do free training webinars and interview federal buyers. Make sure to sign up for the GovCon Chamber's email list to be notified about these opportunities at www.govconchamber.com. And finally, please consider becoming a sustaining member of the GovCon Chamber of Commerce. I'm Neil McDonnell, wishing you great success.